All right, I am pleased to be joined by my next guest, Kevin Na. He's a five-time winner on the PGA Tour. You can follow him on Instagram at KevinNa915. This guy has got all kinds of great stories. We got Players Championship this week. Of course, the time you spent with Tiger and the cool interaction you guys had, walking in a putt, all that cool stuff. But anyway, Kevin, how you doing this morning?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah, just wanted to check in. So I want to ask you, that very first PGA Tour win, I remember that year, 2011, and Nick Watney was right there in the mix. You were in Vegas, where you live. Nick Watney was the guy to beat that year. It was Watney and Donald down the stretch. Those guys were the most dominant that year on the PGA Tour. But you came around and you closed the deal on that Sunday in Vegas. How rewarding did that feel for you, Kevin?
It's been so long, 2011, but you never forget your first win on the PGA Tour. It was very rewarding. I remember I was tied for the lead going to Sunday, got off to a good start, and coming down the stretch, I made some key putts. And when you are trying to win a golf tournament, you have to make putts. And I remember on the last hole, I had maybe a 4.5 footer for 2 putt from there to win, and I made it, and it was an amazing feeling.
Yeah, well, always special to get that first one. Well, look at you. I look at your attitude. You seem to be such a glass half full kind of guy. As you progress now, gotten 5 wins. Where does that glass half full mentality come from, Kevin?
I have to admit that I was, most of the time I was a glass half full kind of guy, but there were times that I wasn't. There were times that when I kept struggling to close a deal, or when I had moments in my career where I was struggling, I have to admit that I was pretty negative. I wasn't always the optimistic guy. And I think during the course of my career, I realized more and more that it's a tough game. It'll beat you up mentally, and you just have to stay positive, and you just have to wait and work hard and wait for your time. And I did that, and my time has been, it seems like it's been my time the last few years.
Well, that's what I mean. 4 wins in the last 4 PGA Tour seasons. Pretty unbelievable stretch here, winning in Sony. You mentioned being happier. Kenny Arms, your caddy, told me that you're as happy as he's ever seen you. We're talking about 13, 14 years as your caddy. Where does that come from, Kevin?
It's off the golf course. It's the family at home. I have 2 beautiful kids that I really enjoy my time with when I'm home. Supportive wife. And I've been not grinding so much at home too. I think having a family takes me time away from the golf, and which is actually at times good, because sometimes when I was in my younger days, I've known to practice too much.
Definitely.
That's not the case right now.
Well, you found a better balance with it, just not killing yourself in practice?
Yeah, there's just, what? Rest, I've learned that, and Kenny's always said this, rest is just as important as practice.
And when we're talking about rest, like what kinds of things is that? Just like going to the pool?
Yeah. Like in Hawaii, I remember after my 3rd round, I shot 61. I went back to the hotel. Sophia, my daughter, was at the pool with my wife, and she's like, "Oh, why don't you come over?" And I was like, "You know what? I will come over." And I went over there, got my swimming trunks on, and I went for a little swim for like 20 minutes and hung out with Sophia and taught her how to swim a little bit. She's getting pretty good at that. And you know what? It kept my mind off golf.
The next day you go out there and only just get your 5th PGA Tour win like it's nothing, right?
Yeah, sometimes you have to treat it like it's nothing. I think if you overthink it, it's easier said than done. Obviously, we're playing for a lot. When it comes to a win, every win can really help your career and put you at a different level. Whether it's career, world ranking, FedEx Cup point, money. I mean, there's a lot to play for, and it's very easy to overthink it. And I think sometimes it's just best thing to not think and overthink it, and just go out there and do your thing and then have fun.
Well, like what you said, there's a lot of things to play for. We'll get to some different dangling carrots kind of that may be in your upcoming mirror here. But before that, I want to ask you 61. When you're going low, if you could talk to my golf weekend warrior audience, when we're trying to go low, as you went to 61, what is the right mentality when you're on the course and it's happening? How do you sustain it?
Don't screw up. Don't screw up. I'm kidding. No, you have to, when you're playing well, especially when I'm playing well, I have this energy of this, I get excited. I get this positive energy. All you're thinking is birdie, and all you're thinking is good shots. You have no negative thoughts. You have your target. You have your mind set on what you want to do, and none of the negatives. And you're playing aggressive, and that's the attitude you need to win, and that's the attitude you need to go low. And some guys, I've seen it where you guys make 6 or 7 birdies and 6 or 7 under, and they start, playing safe. And that wasn't the case for me when I shot 61 on Sunday. On Saturday. I was trying to shoot 59. I really was. And on 17, I had a, I want to say about an 8-footer for a birdie, and that would have gave me a chance on night 18 to make eagle for a 59. And Kenny and I were looking at the greens book, and it had it going right, and all the arrows were going just slightly right. We played it inside left, and it goes a hair left and misses. We're just like, and I was so frustrated on that hole because I just wanted a shot. I mean, how many chances do you get a shot at 59 in your career, right? I just wanted a shot, and I was a little disappointed that I made par there. But that's the mindset you need. It's you just looking for birdies, and you just playing aggressive.
Yeah, we'll get to more mindset things in a minute, but we did talk about the things you're playing for on the PGA Tour, what rewards are out there, and think about the potential of a international team, about international competition. Ryder Cup is coming up this year,
Mm-hmm.
President's Cup after that. I know it was in Korea in 2015. I'm sure you would have loved to have played that one for President's
Mm-hmm.
Cup. But what do you make of the Ryder Cup and kind of what you're looking forward to here?
This year Ryder Cup, I've been kind of looking at the standings, and I played pretty good, but I'm a little behind the points a little bit. But there's still a lot of tournaments, majors coming up that I can make up those points. But yeah, I would love to play a team. I've never played a team, President's Cup or Ryder Cup, and somebody said to me that I'm probably one of the highest career money guy that's never played any team. I thought President's Cup in Australia last year, I thought I had a chance for a captain's pick, having 2 wins. I know the second win didn't count in the points, and if it hadn't I would have been right there, and it didn't count. So, but it gave me in the running for the captain's pick, and I unfortunately didn't get picked. I know I had an outside chance in the President's Cup in Korea, and one of the years at the Ryder Cup, I can't remember where the Ryder Cup was, but this PGA Tour has that wraparound season. It's the beginning of the wraparound season, the fall, when I started second, third, and none of my points counted because it wasn't in the calendar year. And had those points counted, I would have been right there for the Ryder Cup. And so there has been some, some things that didn't go my way for these team events. But look, I mean, at the end of the day, I just got to look at it as I got to play better. Maybe win a major, so they have no choice but to pick me.
Speaking of winning a major, I got to throw this in. When I talked to Kenny Arms, your caddy, a few days ago, he said that he loves looking at the schedule of majors coming up these next couple of years. Some of these classic courses. He loves your opportunity for a major here pretty soon, buddy.
Yeah, we actually looked at that, and next year, this year is not looking very good. Torrey Pines, I haven't played there in 10 years. Whereas PGA is at
Keo Island in South
Keo
Carolina.
Island, Bombers Golf Course.
You played it in 2012. You played it in 2012, though.
I didn't like it. Sorry, I got to be honest.
Hey,
but next year, U.S. Open's at Pinehurst. I love Pinehurst. I actually, when Keimer won that year, during the 3rd round, I got within a few shots of him. I was, I think, in 3rd place, maybe even 2nd at one point on Saturday, and I had a ball that rolled. I mean, literally stopped, and Kenny handed me the putter. I was probably 10, 12 feet away.
Uh-oh. Your audio cut out. Oh, there you go. It's back now. Sorry.
Yeah, lost. I think it went out of battery. Yeah. So there was at Pinehurst. I was right there. So
great golf course for me. A lot of short game that is needed around there. And then St. Andrews, I love that place. I've played well there both of the times that they had the Open Championship there. So I'm looking forward to that. And you know, every year at Augusta, at the certain conditions at Augusta, I can play well there. It's a second shot golf course. I know it's become a little bit of a bomber's course, but if in the right conditions, you know, it's a second shot golf course and you have to putt well there. And I feel like I got a good chance there too. So, you know, next year I think is some of the really good golf courses. But this year, even though it's not, sometimes you go in with an attitude with, you know, I got nothing to lose and kind of just go have fun attitude. And sometimes that works too.
Yeah. Well, you know, you mentioned Torrey Pines, and I know it's not a course you go to all the time, like you said, the last 10 years, but you know what? You played your very first PGA Tour event at Torrey Pines when it was the Buick 20 years ago. If I would have told Kevin Knott 20 years ago, you're going to be a 5-time winner on the PGA Tour and you're going to show up to the US Open and play in the 2021 US Open, what would you have said?
I would have said, I'll take it. I forgot about that. That was actually my first PGA Tour event. I remember I played the Monday qualifier when I was 17 years old. I went in the I shot 66, went in the 6-man playoff for one spot. And I canned a 35 footer downhill, big breaking left to right. And my dad was catching. I was screaming. I was high-fiving. Oh man, I forgot about that. You know who was actually in the playoff?
Oh, there you go. It's
sorry. You know who else? Yeah, who was also in the playoff was Bo Van Pelt. He had a 10-footer for birdie, and after I made it, he missed, and I got in.
Oh my God.
And at the time, he was on the PGA Tour. He's like, "Who is this punk taking my spot?"
Yeah, in 2001. What the heck? So here's my question to you. So with the U.S. Open coming to Torrey, you have some good vibes there. I know it's a long course. I know that length isn't your strength, but come on, you got some vibes.
Yeah, it all depends how they set it up. You know, if it's firm and I can run it down the fairway, and also depending on how high these roughs are. I heard that they're going to be all Kikuyu rough, and pretty high. And Kikuyu rough, you know, if it's anything over 2.5, 3 inches, it's brutal. I mean, it's not like any other roughs. So it'll be interesting how it plays. But
It's cutting out again.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. You said it'll be interesting.
I have a little difficulty with microphones, so
yeah, you can just use the computer.
Yeah, I'll just use it. Rocco Media had a chance, lost in the playoffs to Tiger Woods, and he's not a long hitter. So it can be done if you hit a lot of fairways, and you know the bombers are hitting in the rough. It can be done.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You're known, and you call yourself a relentless grinder when you're out there on the PGA Tour. What can we weekend warriors learn from that kind of mentality to really grind?
I think to be a good grinder, you have to have good short game. I think the amateurs don't spend enough time on short game. And when you practice chipping, you have to obviously practice the basics and then practice a lot of different shots. And you have to have a lot of shots in the back. And you know what? No matter what you did to getting up to the green, you have to have that mentality of it doesn't matter what you did to how to get there. You have to focus on what's in front of you, and you have to try your best to whatever it takes, the least amount of shots. Sometimes it might be, you know, hit it 10 feet away from the hole on the chip shot, because that guarantees you a 10-footer for a par versus trying to pull off a miracle shot. So you have to know your level of your game. And, you know, I've kind of always found a way to get in the hole. And, you know, and the biggest thing for me was my 60-degree wedge. And I've always been a good chipper with my 60-degree wedge. That's just about the only club I use for chipping. You know, when Kenny and I go to the Open Championship, we practice not trying to use a 60-degree wedge because, you know, there's so much bumps and runs, you know, there's bumpers you got to hit. And we'll play a practice round. During the practice round, we've had matches where, all right, you can use any club in the bag but the 60-degree, and we'll have a match. And it's pretty close with him and I. I mean, he's got an amazing short game. He drives it like a drunk man, but his chipping and putting is like a tour player. So I've lost. But anytime you put the 60-degree in play, and I chip with the 60, I'm going to beat him no matter what. But without the 60, it's neck and neck, and that's how we practice different shots when we go to the Open Championships. And but that 60-degree wedge has been my career saver for me.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the Open Championship, I remember in 2015 when you and I were talking in the windy conditions, and it was ridiculously windy. I said, "What do we do? What do us as weekend golfers do in the wind?" And you said, "Full swing putter." It made me laugh out loud.
No, seriously, if it's that windy, you want to use the least amount of lofted club possible to every shot. And if you can putt it off the green, use the putter as much as you can, especially at a links golf course. But when it gets that windy, I think when it passes about 25 mile an hour, it becomes a little bit ridiculous. When the greens are slower, not so much, but on the PGA Tour, when the greens are rolling 11 and 12, when it gets that windy, putting becomes the most difficult part of the game. I can hit a driver, 30 feet in the air and just hit bullets. But the putting, when you have a 4 or 5 footer and you got to play the wind, it's really difficult.
Yeah, it is for sure. Well, hey, as we're kind of talking about practice and those kinds of tips, what is your kind of pre-round practice routine? What does that look like typically going into a competitive round?
It depends. I mean, morning rounds, obviously, you don't have much less time. I want to sleep as much as I can. So my routine probably starts anywhere from 50 minutes to an hour. So if I start more than 50 minutes in the afternoon round, sometimes an hour and 10, I'll start out the putting green. I'll hit some putts, and at 50 minutes, I'll start walking over the driving range. I'll hit balls. I'll go through, obviously sandwich up, and I do something a little bit different than other people probably. So it goes 54 pitching wedge, 9-iron, 7-iron, and I'll throw the driver in there. I'll hit about 5 drivers. Then it goes 5-iron, 3 hybrid, 5 wood, 3 wood, and then hit driver again. So I kind of put the driver in the middle so I can hit more drivers. So I can get more feel of the tee ball, and then after that I'll go over the chip and green, chip for less than 10 minutes, probably anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes. Back on the putting green for somewhere around 7 to 10 minutes, and then I'm on the tee 4 to 5 minutes before my tee time. I want to make sure I get there early enough, get my scorecard. Don't want to be late to that first tee.
Yeah. Well, when you said tee ball, you want to make sure to get as many drivers as possible. Is it because it's a volume game? You're going to hit 14 tee shots, basically?
No, because I feel like actually that's the weakest part of my game. I feel like I over the years I've been way better at putting the ball in play. Part of that was I found the right driver for me. I found that I played that old Callaway Epic driver for forever. I mean, they don't even make it anymore. We ran out of heads. The Callaway basically told me, he says, "You're eventually going to run out of heads." I mean, we scraped every head possible, try to buy them online, things like that. But I actually put the new Epic Speed driver in play last week at Riviera. So I finally playing the new product, but for a long time there, I was playing the old product. But driver is what I struggled the most. I'm not a very long hitter, and I didn't even hit it that straight. But now I'm a pretty straight hitter, still, a little bit below average length, but way better at putting it in play.
Speaking of old drivers, I got a 975J Tideless. Those old ones from 01, 2000. Yes. I still have it in the back. It's my 3-wood. It's my driver off the deck. It's old Betsy, man. Reliable. You're a driver off the deck kind of guy.
Yes.
Where does that mentality come from?
When you're not a very long hitter and you have to scoot it up running up these par fives, you practice hitting driver off the deck. I've hit a lot of driver off the deck, and I've pulled off a lot of great shots, but I can't help to forget that I did lose a tournament hitting a driver off the deck in a playoff. Safeway, yes, in a playoff. But people forget, in regulation, the 72nd hole, I hit driver off the deck, got it front right of the green, and I got it up and down for a birdie. And then I hit into literally the same spot in the second playoff hole with Emiliano Grillo, and it was a little dark, and I hit a little fat. Hitting straight to the trees. It had sparks going. So I lost the tournament there. So, it got me into playoff, but I also would have lost the tournament. So it happens. It's a risky play.
Oh, of course. But you know what? You got to stick to what you know. You got to stick to your guns. For those who would be naysayers to, why would you ever hit driver off the deck? What's your comeback to that?
hey, if you're a PGA Tour player and you're good, you can hit driver off the deck. Okay, you average amateurs at home, you can sit on your couch and say whatever you want.
Well, what about those amateurs? I mean, should they at least try it and see what they can get out of it?
It's honestly, it's a really low percentage play for an amateur. Unless you're, I'd say, a 5 handicap or better, don't even try it. I even tell, like my dad's a pretty good golfer. He's, I'd say about somewhere around almost a single digit handicap. He was a single digit handicap at one point. I'd say he's somewhere between a 10 and a 12 right now. And I tell him, you know, his swing speed's gone down so much. I said, Dad, you don't even need a 3-wood. Don't even hit the 3-wood. He says, you know, all you need is maybe a 4-wood or a 5-wood. And that should be your lowest lofted fairway wood. Because for an amateur, I mean, it's about getting a good contact and getting plenty of height on it to fly it.
Yeah. Well, and of course, you mentioned your dad. Of course, you grew up watching him, or he was watching golf so much growing up back in the day. We'll get to a little bit back in the day in a second. But as we finish this practice routine kind of stuff, what can we learn from you about chipping? I know you use one club primarily, but should we use one club? Should we mix it up as we get warmed up for a round?
Yeah, you can mix it up. I mean, I like modern day hybrids off, you know, the kind of running it up. And when you have a kind of a funky lie, just when you're like a foot in the rough or a few inches in the rough and got the funky lie, I like the hybrid or the 5-wood. You got to practice all kinds of shot. And what I want to tell amateurs is, obviously you have to have the basic shot with the handle forward, you know, the left wrist flat, and you practice hitting your basic shot, right? But then also mess with your hand position at address, you know, forward, back, you know, 90 degree. You have to have a feel for where your hands are. And I think that develops a little bit of a skill of where the loft is. And I say this, you know, I'm going to tell you like here, here, and here. And you learn, get the feel of controlling your loft with your hands. And if you do that and you practice it, you'll get better at it. I mean, it's probably for the slight above average players, but you have to learn how to control the loft with the chip shots. And that's all it is.
Well, you talk about controlling loft with chip shots. You're such a good bunker player, and you've mentioned that you use different clubs out of bunkers depending on how long the shot is. What can we take away from that? Because we need help with our longer bunker shots too.
Yeah, I just hit a bunker shot last week, and it was on the par 5-7, and I was trying to hit 3-wood. I had about probably 260 front, but it was slightly in off the right, and I think my best shot would have been probably to the front edge, just short, maybe 10 yards, and anywhere between 15 inside of 15 yards of the green. I was trying to have a chip up because where the hole location was right on the crown, very difficult. And I put it in absolutely the worst spot. I blocked it right, a little thin, and it goes right. And I'm in the 50-yard bunker, and I'm going. I looked at Kenny. I said, absolutely the worst spot I can put it. And I get there, over the green's dead. It goes off 30 yards behind the green. Right's dead. Front there's a bunker, and I got this opening on the front left, like just front left. And I hit a 9-iron, opened up the 9-iron, splashed it out. Landed it just over the false front, and it takes one hop. It stops about 20 feet, which was an incredible shot where the hole location was. And Kenny he doesn't get excited very often. He said, I was so effing beautiful or something like that. and he goes, oops, sorry. I didn't mean that to slip. But it was that good of a bunker shot. And that's what I'll go up to an 8-iron out of a bunker I know how far my wedges go out of a bunker, 60 degree, max at 25 yards. My 54 degrees is probably 32-ish. It's very hard to get 35 out of it. And then a pitching wedge, 9-iron, and so on. I'll hit to an 8-iron. And you just practice it. And if you open the face and hit it fat and a longer bunker shot, if you use a pitching wedge, it's really easy. All you just got to hit it fat and hit it harder. And it'll fly and it'll run out. But the only thing is it'll cut. So the longer the club, the more left to right spin it'll have. I've tried not to put left to right spin with the pitching wedge or 9-iron. It's really difficult to do. Just play for that little cut and practice that, and it becomes really useful.
And you've said before, you like to let your knees kind of slide through the bunker shot, right? You want to kind of be
Yeah,
thinking,
it's always, you want the club face open through the shot, unless you got some different line you're trying to chop at it. And yeah, I like to keep the knees bent and left towards the target. So both knees are kind of bent and left, leaning towards the target a little bit. That helps you slide under it better.
yeah. Real quick, timeout. Are you good for another 6 minutes?
Yeah,
It's 10,
sure.
20. I don't
Why
know.
not?
I mean,
We're at
what's good timing for you?
No, go ahead.
6, 7.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
cool. I just want to be sensitive to your time. So,
Yeah.
all right. So yeah, so that's some advice for us as we're warming up. What about equipment? You mentioned your driver. You don't change equipment too much, but like typically, like how are you with testing equipment when it comes to the range?
So I've been a guy that never tinkered with clubs, and it's good in a way, but it probably, looking in hindsight, probably I could have found a driver for me, a better driver for me earlier. But I'm not a huge fan of always trying to get the greatest and latest. You have to find what works great for you. Putter, you can change all you want. I think putter, it's like you can have literally 50 putters at home. You know what? I feel like this one. As long as they're all swing weighted, really close to what your normal swing weight is, and the overall weight of the putter is very close, then it's all about what looks and what you feel. And driver, obviously, after a certain time, the technology has been really good. I'd say the last 4 years, 3 or 4 years, if your driver's within less than 5 years old, it's okay. I probably, club manufacturers are going to hate me for saying this, but it's what works for you. And I've never switched till I really felt like this driver was really good for me. And I played the old Callaway Epic for a long time, and I played it as long as I could. I went through a few heads because, we keep hitting it in the center over and over, and we hit a lot of balls, and over time, after about a year, it will crack. Yeah. Because these spaces are so thin, and they got that trampoline effect. And not that because I hit it hard, it's just we hit a lot of balls in the same spot. Amateurs, you miss at the sweet spot a lot, you'll be fine. But it was what I was comfortable with, and I finally found one. This new Epic Speed was finally, I thought, a little. I mean, it's very close, but I thought, Kenny, he's got the water on. Oh, sorry. so I finally found something that's just a hint better. I mean, it's really close, but it's just a hint better. Irons, I've always kind of played the same thing. My Darryl survey guys know when they go, they check what club and they list all the clubs that I play. If I have something new in play, they go, "Ooh, Kevin, shocker here."
It's earth-shattering.
Yeah, but putter, I always feel like there's a honeymoon period with the putter. You got a new putter, it tends to work. Sometimes when that putter doesn't work, you got to bench it. And I am no longer playing with the putter that I had set the record with, the PGA Tour record with the most feet made in a week, 558 feet and 11 inches. With this, I had this Madison Toulon putter, Callaway putter. Yeah. And it just stopped working. So what do? I got rid of it, and I got another one. It
still has a place on your bed in between you and your wife, though, right?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I am not giving it away. It's in the house. It's in my golf storage room. It's sitting nice and pretty. But I got a new putter, same length, same weight, same specs, but just a different head. I had the copper brownish looking one was the one I set the record with. This one's silver. Hey, I gave away a lot of putters, a lot, but I still have probably 40 putters, 50 putters at home, and I'm a pretty good putter. So I like putters. Some guys like drivers; they have a ton, but I like putters.
You got to do what you love. You got to know what you love. Hey, I said we would get back to some of our older days, sentimental days in SoCal. what makes you sentimental when you get back to some courses in LA? Is there a place that makes you sentimental about those old Diamond Bar high school days?
Yeah, actually, Riviera. First time I went to Riviera was 1994 or 5. I think it was 1995. Yeah, it was 19. I was 11 years old. It hasn't been my birthday yet, so it was 11 years old. I went and watched the first PGA Tour event ever. My father took my brother and I. We went and watched. We followed the practice round. I watched Torrey Pines play. He ended up winning that year, defending his title that year, and went out to win the U.S. Open that year. Later that year, I have a picture, and somewhere on my social media too, on my Instagram. It's 95. Corey Pavins got the stash. He's got the Cleveland basket, you know that. And here's this. I had about a 1 year fat phase. It was somewhere between 10 and 11. I was a little chubby. That was the only fat phase I had in my life. And there's this little, you know, chubby kid with glasses on and next to Corey. And that was my first PGA Tour event I ever watched. And I remember following practice on him in bunker shots, and it was his caddy would stand in a spot every time he hits it. It was within arm length of every shot he hit. I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. It's so good. And you know, one of the best short games ever on tour history, right? And I have lots of memories from that. And you know, and it was always my dream to play at Riviera. Now the Genesis Open. I always wanted to play the LA Open, and I played it 18 times. I played the Genesis Open 18 times. This was my 18th time playing. I've never missed the Genesis Open in my career of the PGA Tour.
Wow. So Riviera, obviously sentimental for you from back in the day. What a cool thing. Hey, some of us haven't even played in Southern California. I'm from Sacramento. I've never even played there.
Yeah, but there's a lot of golf courses. I mean, that I grew up on. I mean, the list goes on. My parents remember a little club called Western Hills Country Club. There was a place at La Cañada, Flint Ridge Country Club. I mean, so like back in the days, they used to call it Industry Hills. Now it's called Pacific Palms. I mean, there's so many golf courses, right? There's Los Serranos. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, there's so many courses that I played junior golf. I mean, even Griffith Park. It's a public muni golf course. It's a great golf course. 36 holes. We played the LA City. It was a big deal, 3-day event. I won it back-to-back years. Tiger Woods' trophy's name's on there. Mark Romero, I believe. John Cook. I mean, there's some good names on that trophy. And my name's on that trophy twice. I mean, it's things like that you remember. There's so many of them.
Yes. Well, here, as we wrap up, I want to talk about some of these events coming up. Players Championship, what an awesome event this is. You've got quite a history there, being close a few times. When you talk to us about the final stretch, us amateur golfers, 16, 17, 18, what is the crucial key to playing that well?
16 is a must birdie. If you're coming down the stretch, you must birdie that hole. You have to. It's a driver that has to be turned over just a little bit. If you hit in the right rough, you have to lay up. Left tree comes in play pretty easily, and then the second shot, you go from hitting a draw off the tee, and you have to hit a cut in the next shot into that green. And it's a par 5 that really can go both ways. You can make an eagle, but you can also make a bogey. So you can really have a big swing coming down the stretch when you're in contention. The same thing with 17. You can make birdie or you can make double bogey if you hit in the water. And that green it's actually a decent sized green, but when it's playing really firm, anything lands in the back portion, it kind of goes away and it'll hit and go over the water. Crosswinds are difficult because sometimes balls just falls out of the air and it plays different. But you can make a birdie. You can hit a good shot. I mean, you've seen Ricky Fowler do it. Go eagle birdie, and it's possible. So it's not over till it's over. And 18th hole, 6 is in the book real quick for an amateur, especially. But you can also you can be aggressive, take driver down the left, and make birdie too. So, I mean, there's 3 holes in a row. You can have a 3-shot swing really easily. And the Players Championship, you're just never out of it. If you're within a few going in the last 3 holes, you still got a chance. And if you got a 2 or 3 shot lead, it's still not over. So it's an exciting finish. It's a great golf course. I've had my chances there. I've had a chance where I remember on 17, I had to probably finish birdie to probably get a winner in the playoff. And on 17, I had to putt. I thought it was going to go on. I had the putter up from about 30 feet away, and I thought it was in, and it leapt out, and that was it for me. But I had a chance, and I had the lead at 54 holes once. So I've had plenty of chances there. It's a good golf course for me. If I'm driving it well, it's a good golf course for me. You have to drive it well, because out of the roughs, you cannot control the spin of these Bermuda roughs. Some great memories there with Tiger Woods, obviously walking in. You know, I wish the best to Tiger on his recovery and to his family. It's what he's done for the game of golf. We can't thank him enough, and we hope to see him back. But that was a very cool moment.
Yeah,
and it showed the lighter side of him. He's got a great sense of humor. You know, probably in Tiger in 2000, he was so intimidating that nobody could talk to him unless you were Mark Romero or you know,
John Cook, maybe.
Yeah, John Cook and Fred Couples, maybe a handful of guys. But you know, he's got a great sense of humor. There's some of the things the jokes that I've had that I can't share, but he's got a great sense and that was a side that nobody's probably seen on television, and it was nice to see that side of him come out. But you know what the funny thing is, so we're walking from 17 to 18 green, and I was just kind of looking, I was kind of talking to him, and he starts laughing but kind of holding it in, and he looks at me, he goes, "Did you see that?" I go, "Did you see what?" He goes, "The guy had a shirt on with my mugshot." And I missed it, but I saw it on social media going around somewhere. There's a clip of me walking. You can see I'm kind of looking forward. I'm laughing, and then Tiger kind of gives it one of these and looks, and he's got this guy's got his mugshot, and he's like, and he told me what it was.
Unforgettable moment.
Yeah.
How can you forget something like that? Well, hey, the other big event, of course, coming up real soon is the Masters. And I know the practice facility there is unbelievable. What does it feel like to be there, to be able to play at that course, but also that facility?
I think, this year's Masters will be my 10th Masters appearance. So I've put quite a few Masters. But every Masters I play, it's still special, and I still get the goosebump going down Magnolia Lane. It's so cool. The place is so cool, and if you haven't been there, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And believe me, there's plenty of my friends that want to come. This year they're going to do very limited fans, but its place is so cool. The history, the atmosphere, the vibe. I mean, the golf course, it's so cool. I mean, if you're a golfer, if you're a golf lover, you have to go. I don't care if you got to stand in front of the main entrance trying to get a ticket somehow, whatever it costs, you have to go. People are so well behaved there. The fans, they really appreciate golf. Not that there's anything wrong with waste management, you know. It's fun, great, but the Masters is a whole new tournament. It's a different level. The respect that players have for the Augusta National and for the Masters is through the roof. I mean, even players, we don't take our phone out and text on the practice ground. If we do something like that, one of the green jacket guys come out. Sir, Mr. So-and-so, could you please put your phone away? We follow rules. You have to be on your best behavior. Yeah.
And that facility, I'm sure it's unbelievable warming up in that facility, right? I mean, unbelievable.
And last year with the delays, first time I've ever had to start in the middle of a golf course, and the golf cart, and when we're getting done with the rounds late at night and going around outskirts of the property, I couldn't believe it. The cottages, Berkman's Hall, is it what's called? And
Yeah.
it's a massive property. Just on the outskirts of the golf course, what they have, and they use it probably 2 weeks out of the year, once for the U.S. Women's Amateur, is it? And then the Masters. That's the only time they use it. Maybe member guest if they have one. They barely use it, but what it can hold is incredible. And those are the stuff that you can't see on TV.
Right. Yeah. No, and those bunkers are amazing. You're a great bunker player. Hitting out those bunkers there on this facility has got to be
perfect. Its bunkers are perfect. Every bunker is probably the same depth of the sand. Everything's perfect. There's nothing that is not perfect. There isn't. It's a place that you want to be every year, and hopefully you win it and you get to play. And the par 3 challenge, I wouldn't miss it. My wife and my daughter is really sad that there was no par 3 contest last year, and probably not going to be a par 3. There's not going to be a par 3 contest again this year.
Gotcha. Oh, like in the invitation it said that, or?
Yeah, I think that I'm pretty sure that I read there was no par 3 contest.
Gotcha. Well, hey, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you a couple of things about Korea. 9 Bridges, you get out and play there, of course. Mm-hmm. But where is another course you really love to play in South Korea?
I don't play a whole lot of golf in South Korea, but there's I do play the Korean Open. I didn't play it last year because of COVID, but I played the Korean Open probably 6 or 7 times in my career. I am planning to play it this year. As of now, it's the week after the U.S. Open, and there's a golf course called Wujong Hills Country Club. It's a really good golf course. It's who designed it? I think it was
Kenny will probably know.
It wasn't Robert. Was it Robert Trent Jones' brother?
Reese Jones? Reese Jones, maybe?
You know what? I don't know. It's a really good golf course. Who designed it? Anyway, it's a really good golf course. Greens are fantastic. If it was bent grass fairway, it would be so good, but it's zoysia. And the zoysia over in Korea, in Asia, it's a little different than the zoysia over here. They're a little thicker blades, so it doesn't have that lush look. But the golf course design, it's a great golf course. They set it up pretty difficult, sometimes a little too ridiculous. But I enjoy playing there. I enjoy going there. I really enjoy playing the CJ Cup. That 9 Bridges is an awesome golf course. It's a beautiful golf course. The setup they had there for us for Jeju Island was great. Unfortunately, they're moving it to Hesley, is a different golf course, closer to Seoul, about 2 hours away. I've heard great things. I heard it's all bent grass. I heard great things about it, but I've never played it. But I heard it's not the championship golf course like the 9 Bridges in Jeju Island. But still looking forward to it. Hopefully, we are able to play it.
And then lastly, KJ Choi. I know he's a huge player from Korea, winning the Players Championship 2011. He's won some big events. I think of other big-time winners and majors from Korea. What has that meant to you, somebody like KJ and some of these guys?
Oh, KJ's, he's had a good career, but, Y Yang has got a major. So
I said about the major.
My boy, my man, Y Yang, I'm a good friend of YE. He's a great player. People forget that he's not only won majors, he won another PGA Tour, man. And he's got a couple European Tour wins too. I know he lost status a few years ago, now playing the Japan Tour. He's going to turn 50 next year. And he played the Sony Open this year, and he's turning 50 next year in January. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. His game's still pretty good. His length is still pretty good. I love the guy. I think he's going to have a pretty good success on the Champions Tour if he's able to get out there. So, I mean, I'm an American, but, with my Korean heritage, there's been a lot of great Korean heritage golfers, guys that are, whether you're an American citizen or you're, Canadian or New Zealand or whatever it is, if you have Korean heritage, I've posted this on my social media, the amount of wins that the Korean heritage players had on the PGA Tour is quite high compared to all the other countries around the world. Couple players championship. I mean, I've got 5. Steve's got 3, and there's a few at 2, and the list goes on. Simon Bay's got 2. And the list goes on, and there's some young, great kids coming up, like Sun James, great players. Got 1 win, but he's going to win more. So golf is in a really good place in Korea. Korean people love golf. Obviously, the LPGA kills it, but I want to say, you know, the men's are doing just as good. We're doing just fine.
Yeah, well, I love you on social media. You can follow Kevin Na, my guest here, on social Instagram, Kevin Na 915. Dude, been great hanging out for a bit. I appreciate it, Kevin.
Thanks. I enjoyed the talk. Thanks for bringing up a lot of great memories, Gary.